Queer theorists aim to change accepted truths by changing language, most notably by changing the discourse around the words sex and gender, the latter of which has been redefined as an identity rather than being a synonym for sex. So, rather than being defined as an adult human female, the word woman, as gender studies professor Sally Hines writes, is someone who feels that they are a woman. This movement is being pushed by third-wave feminists, including university academics, as Professor Emma Reynolds from Cardiff University writes. The heteronormativity of gender relations in the early years is certainly ripe for some gender trouble, and some of this work is well underway and radically disrupting a range of gender and sexual truths in what might be more fittingly described as the heteroformative years. The ideology is being passed on to future generations through gender studies courses at universities. Emily Haywood is a postgraduate at Cardiff University with an interest in relationships and sexuality education.
My name is Emily Haywood. I am a PhD student in the School of Social Sciences, and I'm also a part of the Gender and Sexualities subcommittee. As a queer person and a non-binary person, being part of the School of Social Sciences, before this, I didn't really feel like I had much representation, so it's really important for me to be able to be that representation to other people in the school and really create a kind of equal and safe environment within the School of Social Sciences. So recently I've been a part of something called Cafe Query. It is a postgraduate research group that was set up with me and another student, and we set it up as a safe place for LGBTQ plus students in the School of Social Sciences. It was set up as a safe space. It was also set up as an activist space. So as part of that, we applied for a small grant, and we set up both a seminar series that was trans inclusive and was there to really get academics and students involved in talking about positive things within that kind of subject area. A part of this Cafe Query group, we also set up a creative workshop. This was joint with the Gender and Sexualities research group within School of Social Sciences, to create an environment where we could talk about our struggles within both within academia but also within our own work. And by doing this kind of workshop, it meant that we had peer support, it meant that we created networks across different universities across South Wales, and it really created a really fun and joyous environment for things that can often be a topic that's quite negative.
A biography of Meg-John Barker, who ran the Cafe Query workshop, states, born on June the 23rd, 1974, United Kingdom-based Meg-John Barker came out as non-binary trans and began using singular they pronouns in their late 30s. Barker became more and more identified as a feminist when they got increasingly involved in the bisexual, polyamorous, non-monogamous, kink, BDSM activist communities in their late 20s, early 30s. She is the author of Queer, a graphic history, the cover of which includes a quote from a Vice magazine review, could totally change the way you think about sex and gender.
The synopsis on Goodreads is, quote, activist academic Meg-John Barker and cartoonist Julia Scheele illuminate the histories of queer thought and LGBTQ plus action in this groundbreaking nonfiction graphic novel. From identity politics and gender roles to privilege and exclusion, Queer explores how we came to view sex, gender, and sexuality in the way that we do, how these ideas get tangled up with our culture and our understanding of biology, psychology, and sexology, and how these views have been disputed and challenged. Along the way, we look at key landmarks which shift our perspective of what's normal, Alfred Kinsey's view of sexuality as a spectrum, Judith Butler's view of gendered behavior as a performance, the play Wicked, or moments in Casino Royale when we're invited to view James Bond with the kind of desiring gaze usually directed at female bodies in mainstream media. Presented in a brilliantly engaging and witty style, this is a unique portrait of the universe of queer thinking, end quote.
Those who resist the change to the definition of words are portrayed as reactionary bigots. In August 2020, Rosie Duffield, Labour MP for Canterbury, was a victim of a social media pile-on after liking a tweet by journalist Piers Morgan. She compounded her apparent offence by tweeting, "I'm a transphobe for knowing that only women have a cervix." She was harassed so much she locked her Twitter account. In response, LGBT Labour tweeted, "We need to educate MPs and social media commentators that the anti-trans agenda is frequently found in tweets which exclude transgender people from issues which affect them. These seek to put a divide between people and communities who should be united." In September 2021, it was reported that Duffield skipped the Labour Party conference due to safety concerns. She spoke at an event organised by Labour Women's Declaration.
I didn't imagine that this week would be the question of turning on the television and the radio and hearing my name and the word cervix every 5 seconds. It's not exactly what I had planned when I became an MP. But there comes a point where you absolutely have no choice but to speak up. And all I did was dip my toe in the water and like somebody's tweet. And from that moment on, words have been put into my mouth. People have been living, obsessed by my likes and my imagined thoughts. I'm not a transphobe, I never have been and I never will be. I simply want to use the word women. I simply want to talk about all the things that these people campaign about quietly in the background every single day. Our bodies are different, that's okay. There's room for all of us. And I cannot thank the people in this room enough for giving me the courage to just carry on trying to make a difference in the Labour Party. I grew up in a household where my mum and her friends went to Greenham Common. There were copies of Spare Rib lying around. It was ordinary to just talk about gay rights, even in the 80s in my household. It was just normal. That's how I grew up. And here we are in 2021, where we've had to form a group called Lesbian Labour just to be able to say the word and just to be able to fight to be heard. It's ridiculous and preposterous, and nothing about me is a dinosaur, I don't think. I'm angry this week. I'm angry at colleagues chucking me on the railway tracks, I'm afraid. I'm angry and even more determined. I really did not tell the press that I wasn't coming here because of my safety. Whoever leaked that, thanks. But that became the story. It's been the story for several weeks now. But actually, I genuinely did just want to give Keir a chance. I wanted to give the conference a chance. And I met with him finally after asking for months and months just to discuss this. As Kerry said, he still hasn't met with or even read any of the material from Labour Women's Declaration, as far as I know. But women make up so much of the membership of this party, of trade unions and voters in this country. It's about time we started to listen, to women. And if we want the votes of women, we have to listen from this second, not just 2 seconds before the election when we realise that actually this means something. So show you mean it. Keir and anyone else listening, women have got something to say, and we didn't give permission for the name woman to be taken, thrown in the bin and just ignored. So we won't be quiet. And I've said enough. There are loads of brilliant people here to say lots more, so thanks very much.
In an interview, Keir Starmer stated that saying only women have a cervix was something that shouldn't be said.
Is it transphobic to say only women have a cervix?
Well, it is something that shouldn't be said. It is not right. But Andrew, I don't think that...
So Rosie Duffield should not have said that. Can you explain to people watching why she should not have said that?
Well, Andrew, I don't think that we can just go through various things that people have said. Rosie Duffield, I spoke to Rosie earlier this week and told her that conference was a safe place for her to come, and it is a safe place for her to come. And I spoke to others to make exactly the same principle. We do everybody a disservice when we reduce what is a really important issue to these exchanges on particular things that are said. The trans community are, as I say, the most marginalised and abused of many, many communities, and we need to make progress on the gender recognition.
In 2024, an online troll who sent audio messages to both Duffield and J.K. Rowling threatening to kill them was released. Because of fears for her safety during the election campaign, in 1 week, Duffield spent £2,000 of her own money on security. In a post, Duffield explained why she declined to attend election hustings. Today, I have made the extremely difficult decision not to attend local hustings events during this election campaign. Hustings are usually an enjoyable and interesting part of any political campaign, but sadly, the actions of a few fixated individuals have now made my attendance impossible. The constant trolling, spite and misrepresentation from certain people, having built up over a number of years and being pursued with a new vigour during this election, is now affecting my sense of security and well-being. The result is that I feel unable to be focused on giving a clear presentation of the Labour Party's manifesto commitments. Labour peer and Stonewall founder Michael Cashman accused her of being frit or lazy and opined that she should stand down if she was afraid to face constituents. He later deleted these tweets and apologised, much to the annoyance of Labour councillor for Bridgend, former director of Terence Higgins Trust Cymru, and one to look out for in the Wales Online Pink List for 2023, Rhys Good, who tweeted, "Don't apologise, she shouldn't have been a Labour candidate." Because of his comments, the Labour whip was withdrawn from Cashman. In June 2024, former Labour leader and Prime Minister Tony Blair said that a man has a penis and a woman has a vagina. In response to a question about his assertion that stating that only women have a cervix shouldn't be said, Starmer declined to apologise for his previous comment about Rosie Duffield, but explained that Tony Blair got it right.
3 years ago, you criticised your MP Rosie Duffield for saying only women have a cervix. You recently backtracked on this. What do you believe now, and how do we know that you will stick to your views?
So Rosie Duffield said in 2020, only women have a cervix. You said in response, that's something that shouldn't be said, it's not right.
Well, look, on the biology, I agree with what Tony Blair said the other day in relation to men having penises and women having vaginas.
In an article in The Times, J.K. Rowling wrote, "Labour has dismissed women like me. I'll struggle to vote for it. It struggles to say what a woman is at all." In an extraordinary example of Darvo, deny, attack, reverse victim offender, advisor to the Welsh Government Lisa Power tweeted, "All of that kowtowing to turf ideology to keep the peace, losing one of his most effective people in the Lords, and Rowling still attacks Labour. Perhaps now they'll begin to understand quite how unhinged this sect is." To reiterate, turf ideology is the belief that a woman is an adult human female.